Great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. I am super excited because we're bringing balance to the world, one household at a time, with these lovely ladies, Lauryn and Adrian. How are you ladies today?
Doing well.
Well, y'all always look so stunning, that's for sure. I absolutely am inspired by the whole hair thing. Everybody, listen, we hope that you will be in for as much of a treat as I am in being able to host these young ladies today. So grab your virtual seats and let us know where you're visiting in from. Remember, if you don't type a comment, I don't always get to see you. Like I see you, Patrick, for example, out here, but type some comments as you all are coming into the studio audience so that I don't overlook acknowledging you all today. Oh, okay. Bless you, Lauryn, over there. So the last time you all came on, we have some really good, hearty discussion, and I'll make sure you all know how you can check that episode out as well. But I want to introduce these ladies to you all today. This is Adrian M. White and Lauryn King Darton. Love the names. They are a dynamic duo behind the Two Mics, Two Glasses podcast, where they blend their extensive background in branding, marketing, and financial management to empower entrepreneurs, especially those from underserved communities, to build and sustain profitable businesses. Now, I'm not going to read the whole bio because we're going to talk about bio and give you a chance to hear directly from them. So welcome, ladies, to the Kim Jacobs Show.
Thanks for having us back.
I'll have y'all back anytime, just so you know.
I know, it was like, it just didn't feel like enough. It felt like we were cut short, even though we were talking for an hour. Like,
it's so funny because when you're having a good time, you're just like, what?
Where's the time go?
Right.
Is that how you felt?
Yes.
That's how I felt.
Like, this is great. This is just like, just chatting it up. Like,
I know.
That's
good energy.
That's a good thing. Good thing. So listen, the last time we talked a lot about where you all met and different things, but just to bring people that are tuning in for the first time up to speed, let us know, especially with you all both going to Hampton University, there are a rack of folk that you can encounter when you're in college, right? But for some reason, the two of you connected. How did that happen? Lauryn, you start first, and then Adrian, you tell your account of what happened.
So we got lucky enough to be in a 5-year MBA program. So we were the same major, but I had transferred into the major like a semester after everyone else. So I feel like I wasn't in the classes with everyone until either second semester of our freshman year or first semester of our sophomore year. And then I started, meeting everybody and kind of being in the study groups. And I feel like that's where people really develop relationships.
Right.
Because we would study together and prepare for tests and stuff together. So that's where we initially met. We also lived kind of across from each other in the same apartment. So at Hampton University, if you know, the Harbors is like an apartment complex right across the street from the school. So a lot of students live there. So I lived there with my best friend and my roommate. Shout out to Ashley. And then Adrian lived with her best friend. Shout out to Ashley again.
Oh yeah, both our roommates were Ashley.
Ashley. Shout out Ashley.
There were so many Ashleys at Hampton.
There was a lot of Ashleys. So Adrian lived across, and they would always have parties. So we would, go to some of their parties because they were very social. I was in the band, so we, I knew band people.
Okay.
It took up your whole schedule. So that's kind of how we met. And then I think our relationship developed more when I moved to the same area that Adrian lives. So I'll let you talk more about that. So I don't give away the whole story.
Oh.
Right. Come on, Adrian. So your recollection.
Yeah, so my recollection, so me and Lauren, we were, like she said, we're in the same major. And in our particular major, it's kind of a small program. So the people that were in our year, I don't think it was any more than like 30 people that were in our year. And you knew all of them because you had almost all of your classes, especially like by sophomore year, junior year. So we had a lot of classes together and we stayed in the same dorm freshman year. So we definitely knew who each other were. But it wasn't until after, college when we were both in the DC area that we started getting close. And so basically what happened, so I'm from the DC area originally, still live here. But basically when people move to the DC area, especially if you have some level of connection with them, usually they will reach out or you'll find out that they're in.
You have to in the DC area. You better find somebody you know.
Right. And Lauren was a friend, but we weren't super, super close yet, but we
Right.
definitely were connected still. So she had reached out and I started inviting her to different things that I was doing. And one of the things I was doing was I was a active member and then later board member of Thursday Network, which was the young professional sector of the Greater Washington Urban League, which is under the National Urban League. So I had started inviting her to that. And we were, going to different events together or meeting up and seeing each other at different events. And we basically started spending more time together through that organization and got closer and closer.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And Adrian always showed up for everything that I had, and I tried to do the same. So we really would show up for each other. And it was just like that consistency kind of allowed you to open up and be more vulnerable and rely on people. So really was a slow development. And then one day I looked over I feel like I talk to you every day.
Wow.
Or every other day. This is one of my closest friends. Wow, I appreciate your friendship. It'd be those rare moments where you have a reflection and you're like, wow, I really love this person.
That is wonderful, because I know when I was younger, I actually went to Hampton University for their Upward Bound program. Okay. And back then I actually faked like I was in college until some of the guys really started coming on to me. I was like, wait a minute, I'm really just a kid, guys. Okay, I'm in high school. Don't take it too far. They're like, oh, you want to hang with us? I'm like, no, never mind. Mine not work for me. So let's just
beware of the big brothers. Okay. Yeah. When you have big brothers,
everyone, the brothers, the sisters, everybody treated me nicely over at Hampton University, and no one ever took advantage of me or anything. So I was really appreciative of my experience there, and people pulled me in. So I was happy about that. But again, because of the vastness of the university, it's so easy to say, okay, we're buddies, but then not stay connected really for life like you all have decided to do. So when you left from school, you went on to pursue your careers, correct? Mm-hmm. So what did that look like for you, Adrian? And were you still connected even in your careers at that point?
Well, we had completely different career paths. So I had an emphasis in marketing for, my major in my MBA. So my goal was to try and work in a marketing department, maybe eventually be CMO of some company. I was totally expecting just to work my ranks up in marketing. Mm-hmm. So I applied for a whole bunch of jobs, coming out of school. And we came out from grad school in 2009 when there was a job crisis and everything. It was really, really tough to get a good job. So I had a couple offers, but the offer that I ended up taking was in a sales department of a healthcare insurance company, a Fortune 50, healthcare insurance company.
Okay.
So I was doing sales and customer service. So that was a interesting time
Yeah.
for me. You know, I wasn't really that passionate about it, but I did learn a lot. And I was able to, I got a promotion pretty quickly in the department, still doing kind of sales, but I ended up being able to do meetings where I was going to different small businesses and training them on their different health insurance plans and options. So I had to present a lot, and sometimes it would be in front of like a group of like 50 people.
Okay.
I think the most was like almost up to 100 people. And I loved it. I loved it. I was getting a lot of accolades for being a really good presenter. And I think that's really when I got in my groove of like, hey, I really like working with people. I really like presenting. I really like maybe, you know, there weren't cameras at the time, but I think that was like a little bit of prep of like, I think I would like being in front of a camera and, you know, talking to
That's
people.
good.
Mhm.
Good. So everything that you were learning back then really was preparing you for what was to come, even though you didn't know it necessarily, right?
Yeah, so I worked a whole bunch of jobs. In my 10 years in corporate, I worked at like 3 or 4 different companies. I got laid off 3 times and stuff, but each job prepared me for what I'm doing now. So I started in sales and then eventually was able to get into marketing at another company and became a marketing manager, and also did some graphic design and communications work and stuff. So all of those experiences really helped me in my, you know, as an entrepreneur.
Excellent. And what about you, Lauren? When you graduated from college and went to pursue your career, how was that path for you? What did it look like?
Yeah, so I actually moved back to New Jersey, but and Adrian was right. Like I think the crash of 2008 or 2009 happened, and it was really tough. But luckily, I was in accounting and public accounting, and so I had kind of secured my job before we started our last year of school because I had been interning with one of the big 4 accounting firms. So they kind of picked pretty early. And you have to do like a lot of internships and stuff. So I was really blessed to be able to have that prior to the fall. But I did see remnants of that crash while I was working, but I wasn't like severely impacted by it when it came to looking for a job after graduation. So definitely a blessing there. But I moved back home. I was living with my grandmother in New Jersey. I'm from Jersey. What's up, y'all? And I was actually commuting to Philadelphia, which was not a good idea, y'all. Don't do that. It's
You're gonna learn some lessons today, y'all. Certain things you do, some things you don't, and you're gonna hear it from them today. Go ahead.
How long was that commute?
Girls, like 2 hours. I had to drive to the train station in Levittown, Pennsylvania. So I was driving from Jersey to Pennsylvania, and then I had to catch the train because there's like no parking. It's a very expensive parking in Philly. And I got off at, I think, the 30th Street or 16th Street suburban station. So I was right in the middle of the city, which is I guess a fun place to work, but it's very expensive to park there. And, you know, I was driving this old Cadillac. I still have my college car. So I had like a 91 Fleetwood. So it was a gas guzzler. And, I was getting up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get to work. So it was just stressful. And I learned that I don't want to have a long commute ever again. So moving to DC really, you know, changed that. Even though the traffic here sucks also. But I refused like to live outside of Virginia because I worked in Virginia. So
Right.
Adrian got lessons in work. I got lessons in lifestyle. Like this is not what I want for my life.
Not gonna work for me in my
right.
life. 2 hours to get to work and then have to park
And then I get home.
Train and
Yeah, it was a lot. And you know, public accounting is very long hours. Especially certain parts of the year. It's like, you know, it could be 14-hour days. So I was commuting 2 hours, working 12 to 14 hours, and commuting home for 2 hours. So it was a lot. Sometimes I did get lucky to have clients that were in New Jersey. So I wasn't always forced to go into Philly, but at the times that I did have to go to Philly, it was, you know, a learning experience. I'm so happy I was young because if you know you have energy in your 20s. But it was definitely stressful, and I did learn a lot though. I think it was a great company to start my career with. If you in accounting and you're interested in being a CPA, I would definitely try to go into one of the big four firms because it's a fantastic place to start your career. I think it gave me a lot of opportunity to go wherever I wanted after. I only lasted 2 years. Some people last longer. I had to peace out. But luckily I did get placed at a client in DC. And so I was like, whoa, this city is amazing. I was here for like a month and they put me up in an apartment and I was able to see a lot of, and there was not a lot of Black people where I was working. And I came to DC and I was like, whoa, like there's so many Black professionals here. I had government clients. So it's a lot of, I just hadn't seen it before. Even though I went to Hampton, when I started in the workplace, I was normally like the only person. So I was kind of blown away by just the culture and the people here in DC, in the DMV area. And so I was like, oh, I'm moving. And I got a job in Northern Virginia and came on down. And I actually love it here, but it did reconnect me with so many friends. A lot of people that went to Hampton were from this area. So it was like, you can throw a rock and find someone who went to Hampton University. Honestly,
right.
Like we run into each other all the time. And it's a lot of fun, especially when we were in our early 20s. I think I moved here, might've been like 24, 25. Because I only stayed at KPMG for 2 years. So I was like, I gotta go. But yeah, that's kind of, we definitely went in very separate directions and we were in separate areas, but I think God brought us back together for a reason because I feel like we've been able to be a blessing to each other and coming together to do this. School prepared us to speak. Honestly, we had to do impromptu speeches and it really pulled me out of my shell because I really hated public speaking. And so, at Hampton, they really forced us to, we had classes where they were like, okay, Lauren, today you're going to do a speech on this. You have 5 minutes to come up with 3 points. And
there's another Lauren in the class because that's talking to me, right?
Does it have to be me? But I also had opportunities in my career to present. And I did get a lot of compliments on how I was able to speak and present. And I do believe that was from the training we got at Hampton. So, yeah.
Shout out to Hampton University, y'all.
Yeah. And the 5-year MBA program they did particular things that we hated in the moment, but I do think it really prepared us. As much as I hate to say that, because I remember like really disliking when we had to go to those classes. But when you're uncomfortable, you get comfortable being uncomfortable, and it really helps you in corporate because most of the time in corporate America, you're uncomfortable.
That's
like
right.
You always have to overextend yourself, or you always have to try something new, and you have to be confident in those spaces, even if you don't want to be. So I can appreciate the experiences that we've had at school, that we were pushed into our careers, and then luckily able to use in things that we are endeavored to do now. So.
Excellent. And I was in corporate America for over 10 years. It's everything that you all are describing. I think it helped prepare me for what I'm doing in life. So none of it is like just a wasted piece of my life. It was important because now I know from being with Les Brown in the training program, how to prevent saying and and whatever, all those filler words is stuff that he's like, Kim, don't say that. What are you trying to say? What's the actual point you want to make? And I'm like, oh, I was trying to think about it. That's why I said, So certain things you learn as you're growing, detail pieces, because I had to use those in the pharmaceutical sales industry, use my pen and point to the main points. So now if I'm in front of a customer, I get a chance to know what to say quick and in a hurry to get that sponsor secured because they don't have time for that. It's like, we don't have time for this. What do you want? And it's like, no, I know what I want right there, right there on that detail piece. All right. Listen, y'all, this is some good information that y'all have already shared, and I hope it's inspiring each of you. I see that some comments have come in, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge it. Lady Justine Hillier said, the first time my son went to DC, he was shocked to see so many Black people and wanted to move there.
This is where it's at, y'all. I'm telling you. I mean, if you could figure out how to afford to live here, I would do it.
Well, I lived in Clinton, Maryland too.
Okay.
Loved in DC, Southeast DC was part of my territory in the pharmaceutical industry. And I would go in those clinics and sit and and sit amongst everyone. But I just went in. I would take some of my jewelry off. Man, don't get crazy. Don't get in there. We like sitting with everybody. But I would hug everybody and be loving. But it's a different world. DC is a different world. I put my signal on and I'll be sitting there for about 10 minutes. I'm like, I know these people see my signal. They're like, we don't care about your signal. You just take your way in there when you get a chance. So,
yeah. Okay. I was prepared to drive down here because I'm from Jersey, but it's definitely an adjustment. It's an adjustment for sure.
Big time. Listen, Noreen said that's a very long trip with the commute you were making as well. And what we're going to do is I see you, Noreen. You're saying good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I see you, Dennis. I see all of you all that are on. I see you, Justin. I see everybody. Sandy. Hey, Sandy. Nice to see you. I hope I don't miss anybody, but it's hard for me. Berthana, Justine, Dennis, all of you all, Patrick, I see all of you all. So thank you also for being here today. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want us to talk about how you transition to full-time working together. And check the private text on Lauryn. I have a message over there for you. But I want you to talk about how you transition to full-time working together exclusively. When we come right back, everyone, right after this commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to ewomennetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community.
All right, everyone, and we are back with the lovely Lauryn King Darden and Adrian M. White. And we're going to talk right now. We're talking with them. They are the hosts of the podcast, Two Mics, Two Glasses. I love that. And we're talking to them about some of the steps that they took as they transitioned from corporate America to working full-time to now having their own show, Two Mics, Two Glasses. So talk to us, if you will. Adrian, let's start with you and find out, what was that transition like to making the decision mentally to transition to corporate America, from corporate America to full-time entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that I got laid off 3 times in my career. So I knew that, like, staying in a job for like a million years was just like it wasn't really like a realistic goal of mine because of job instability in general, especially in sales and marketing. Like, it's just very easy to be cut in those departments. So, having that in mind, that kind of changed my opinion on like, what am I really like doing this for? What's my ultimate goal? Is it still to be chief marketing officer, or is there, something else that's my goal? And while I was doing, my full-time jobs, I was pretty much always doing web design on the side. I had started web design as a hobby in high school. So I did it on the side for like, by the time I was, working in corporate, I had been doing it for like 10 years, so I was doing it more and more. And when I got back into the DMV area, I had family and friends that were asking me to do their websites. So I was doing their websites, and then they would refer people. So then it was like opening me up to people who weren't my family, and friends to do it. So as the years are going by of me working in corporate, my web design business is growing and growing and growing or whatever. And so I got really used to, working my 9 to 5 and then coming home and working from 6 to 10, on web design. And I really enjoyed doing that. So eventually I got to a point where the web design business was competing with my corporate job. I had a ton of people that were like trying to reach out to me during the day or wanted to have conversations with me during the day. I was at that point, before I went full time, I was bringing in maybe like 20K a year, from the web design business. So I was feeling like those pressures of like, I'm in this corporate job. I know I need to like stay focused. I don't want them to see me doing other types of work. But then this other work is really like, it's really impacting me and my schedule and my job. And what did I enjoy doing more, which was the web design. After my second layoff, I got into a government contracting position doing like graphic design and some web design.
Okay.
That particular job was one of the jobs I liked the least. So I was getting paid really well, but I didn't have any privacy. The way that our desks were laid out, it was just like an open floor plan. Anybody could see what's going on your computer at any time. But then at the same time, they didn't give me enough work to fill my day. So I literally had nothing to do, but I couldn't work on my business. And it just really annoyed me and really frustrated me. So that year, I was praying and meditating a lot, and I started getting signs from God that I was supposed to make the jump soon to go full time. And specifically, I was supposed to make the jump early the next year. So I'm maybe it's like May 2018 at this point, and I'm getting a sign that I'm supposed to like make this jump like January or February of 2019.
Well, what signs? Because I don't want to just go and then I don't hear it. What signs were you getting?
Okay, so I got a few signs. So I think I got like 3 or 4 signs in total. So one of the first signs was that, so when I was like going into this position, I was basically sold this dream of like, we're on this contract with the Department of Defense and we have like 3 years left on it. And, it's going to be really, really important. Your work is going to matter so much, blah, 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 blah. Like, a month after I get to this job, my manager, the other senior person that was right under her, who was also on our contract, quits. And so I'm like the only one left from our company on the contract. It's like everything is falling apart or whatever, which was totally different than what they were, presenting to me. So when all that happened, I found out that the contract was not even going to renew. So the contract was going to be over at the end of October. So just a few months later, the contract was going to be over, and I didn't know what was going to happen next for me with the job. So, coming into a company thinking that like, oh, okay, this is something that again is going to give me job stability, and I'm going to be, on this for a couple years and stuff. And then for that to kind of all fall apart meant that I don't really need to have any allegiance to this company because it's just kind of all over the place. So that was one sign, going in there thinking it was going to be one thing, and then it kind of falling apart almost immediately after I joined. The next sign was that I had a new manager. So once the old manager quit, I had a new manager come in, and he was like, the contract is ending at the end of October, but I am going to pay you the same salary through the end of the year. And, hopefully we can get you on another contract next year, but you'll have about 2 months where we're not going to assign you on a contract, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can basically, he was like, you can go home, like you can work from home, but there's no work. Or whatever, you still are going to be paid.
That's a good sign from God.
2 months of not having to do anything, no work they were giving to me. I was home. So I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to prepare of what it would be like to work full time in my own business. So that was another sign. There were two more signs, two quick signs. Another one was I was at a church conference, and there was a session similarly to like this topic that we're talking about, where there was a guy that had a very similar situation that I had been in. He was a speaker. He was about the same age as me. And he was saying like, oh, I had this good government job, but I decided to like step out on faith and pursue my purpose, and things like really worked out. And it was those situations where you felt like they were talking specifically to you in it. And so I talked to him after about, how he was really inspiring me. And he's like, let me know when you make that jump. And so it gave me a little bit of accountability of like, actually wanting to do it. And then the final sign was that, what was it? There was another position. So I told you that like they could put me on another contract or something. Right. So there was an opportunity for a project management position around the time that they were, I was like not working. And I, they, had me interview for it. And I was currently studying to get my PMP certification. And so I was like, this would be like, if I got this job, this would really round out my resume, having marketing experience, having project management experience, having a PMP. Like, this is an opportunity that I would not want to pass up on. So I go into the interview. I was still kind of confused about what I wanted to do for the future, but I go in, I do the interview, and they're like, okay, we're going to, move you to the next round, and we'll get back to you tomorrow on like what those next steps are. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? If I get this position, like that totally thwarts me going full time in my business, because I'll be working full time for this company. The next day they like call me and they're like, we decided not to move you forward with it. Oh, whatever. So it's like at one point, it's like I had the job basically. And then randomly they're like, we decided like not to move you forward for this. So the one thing that was standing in my way of like, oh my gosh, should I do this jump or should I not, was taken away. It just went away.
So the answer is not. It's not going to happen.
So yeah, time after, there was just situations that just kept opening up the opportunity for me to work for myself. So I had told the company I wanted to work. I was like, I don't want a full-time opportunity in the new year, but I can take part-time or whatever. And so they put me on another contract part-time, that contract ended up unusually like canceling or whatever, like a month later. And at that time, I was like, I don't want to be on another contract. So I got laid off. But the difference between that time and in the end of the year is that if I didn't get on the other contract, basically, I wouldn't have gotten any benefits of being laid off. I wouldn't have gotten any severance or anything like that. It's just like your contract kind of ends. But because I got put on another contract, and then that contract ended, and I said I was part-time, so I still had flexibility, I was able to get like 2 or 3 months of severance and just got like, a lot more financial benefit, which enabled me to have that cushion. So when they said that contract was ending, which was going to be like January 31st, I was like, okay, I'm going to be, leaving the company after that. So February 1st is when I went full time, 2019. When I went full time.
February 1st, 2019, out of 3 layoffs and God providing you with so many different signs that, listen, even when you can't make your own decision, I'll help you make it, because I'll just yank that particular opportunity.
Exactly. Over and over and over again. And then last but not least, not a sign, but a confirmation. The first day of me going full time with my business, I had a former prospect reach out to me out of the blue on Facebook. And it was actually her husband. And he was like, hey, I know you talked to, her name, like a year ago, and she didn't sign up yet, but I want to pay for this for her so she can get her makeup business off the ground. And I said, okay, great. Well, my prices have changed a lot, because it wasn't my full-time thing. So my prices had actually quadrupled He said, I don't care about the price, send me the invoice. So I sent him the invoice. He paid 50% up front of my new prices. And this is the first day of me going full time.
Isn't that confirmation? Isn't that confirmation? You know what? I would play some praise break music, but that right there is just a confirmation that God is on your side. Just finally take the first step.
Yes.
And then it's going to work out, but you don't know until you take that first step. So bravo, kudos to you going full time. And I hope that you all in the studio audience are gleaning some nuggets. Some of the things that she said that stood out to me, she received signs from God about it. She also said that she was coming home and then working after she came home. She hadn't left her job. She was coming home and then working to be able to still do her side hustle, if that makes sense, but being able to still take care of herself from her main hustle, right? The other thing she said that I really loved was being able to have people calling, and they were trying to get at her and trying to reach her. And then she ended up having enough income. Like it was at that time, I think you said 20,000 or so that was coming in on your side hustle. That's a lot of nuggets, everybody. I hope y'all are taking notes. She didn't just walk away. She strategically planned her exit, even though God ultimately just pushed her. She's like, okay, get out of here. You're done. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Adrian. Lauryn, talk to us about your transition from full-time corporate to full-time entrepreneurship.
Okay. I would say that my journey was definitely more resistant than Adrian's. I would say I was quite resistant to entrepreneurship when I started my career. I just thought it was a lot of work, and I was like, I'm just gonna, work this corporate job, make my money, and chill out. I guess the more you know, the more you grow, the more you know. And so then I learned, a lot about the way corporate works and how similar to what Adrian said is like the loyalty that you have towards your company is not necessarily the same that they have towards you. And so I think, I started my first business, was kind of stumbled into it because I went natural and I started making products. We kind of talked about that before, but and my friends.
Let me talk about it again because your natural journey is gorgeous over there. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. But I started making my own hair products because I big chopped. I was very impatient with like transitioning from permed hair to natural hair. And so I just big chopped and I cut all my hair off. And I started having to figure out how to do it. And so in figuring out how to do my hair, of course, I went to YouTube like everyone does now. But I didn't realize that you can make your own hair products. I didn't really know that was a thing. And because I didn't love the products that I was buying in the store, I just started making my own, like butters, mostly butters and oils. And so I started doing that and I gave it away as gifts. And I fell into like this business because my friends encouraged me. They were like, did you make this yourself? Because I just gave them away in these little jars. I was like, Merry Christmas. They were like, this is amazing.
Still have the jar.
Oh, you guys are the best, man. They're the best friends. But I mean, it was that type of support.
I want a jar. Just as I definitely want a jar of the shea butter stuff, whatever it is that your body butter, hair butter. Anyway, go. I gotta
figure that out, like how to work that in. But I feel like, now that I have this different schedule, different life, maybe, I've never closed the door. Like I said, the website is still up, purelyperfecthair.com. If you want to see, the vibe is nice, but everything on this website is sold out.
What is it called?
Purely Perfect Hair.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna force you to go back into business, right?
I know. I still have all the pages up. Like I never closed the business officially, but once I stumbled into my next business, I didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So I kind of stumbled into this one. I had a lot of guidance from Adrian. Of course, I reached out to her because she was so into entrepreneurship. When I did it, her and another friend of mine who was a full-time entrepreneur at the time really gave me a lot of advice on how to do it. And I was completely frazzled. I was overwhelmed with everything that went into it. Social media was so overwhelming to me. Talking to strangers is overwhelming to me. I'm slightly introverted. And you have to do all those things to be successful. You have to reach new people. You have to have new customers. You have to really exude your brand. I used to literally bring my sister with me everywhere, and she would pitch people for me, and they would come to the table, and then we'd have a personal conversation, and I would sell. Like, that's kind of how it works. Sometimes you have to build those systems to help you where you are, and so you can get to being better. So I'm definitely much better at selling myself and not being as timid. But when I first started, I would go to trade shows, I would go to church dance concerts, and I would set up my little table with my vines and try to make it pretty and sell my little hair butter. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of financial investment. So my job was definitely supporting the business. But again, to me, I didn't feel called to entrepreneurship at the time. I did it. I liked it. I started understanding that you cannot depend on your job for your livelihood all the time. And I started learning more, as you get older, you just have different experiences. I would say that started in 2016. So I was doing Purely Perfect Hair starting 2016 and continuing. I was just doing it on the side. Like Adrian said, you have your 9 to 5, and then you have your 6 to 10 or 11 or 3 a.m., which is like my schedule. I'd be up all night. If you know me, you know that I will be working throughout the AM hours because I'm a night owl. I'm not a morning person. So, I'd be working through the night to do these things, getting up and going to work. And it was tiring, but, it was slightly rewarding. And again, we were with the organization Thursday Network that Adrian mentioned earlier. And so, they always have opportunities for you to meet people and do different events. They support the entrepreneurs in their network. So they would have opportunities for you to vend at different things that they were doing too. And that was just helpful to gain more customers. And, we had a pretty decent customer base. We would get new orders, but it became overwhelming to balance work and the orders, especially when fast forward to 2018, I fell into another type of business. So I kept being asked to do accounting for people in my community. I would volunteer a lot with different organizations, including Thursday Network, and a couple organizations that were here to develop. I would say they're here for the liberation of Black people, basically. Right. And we would do a lot of projects in Southeast. We would do a lot of projects all over DC to help rehabilitate, like cleaning up the trash or doing donation drives. And the leader of that business would consistently ask for help. In addition to a couple other nonprofit leaders would be like, hey, can you do my accounting? Can you help me with this thing? Are you familiar with this? Can you do the treasury? And then so that person ran for office and was like, you have to be my treasurer. Like, I need you to be my treasurer. Right. And I was like, have you talked to anybody else? No, I need you to be my treasurer. So I've fallen into this other business where I'm helping these campaigns because, DC, there's a lot of small offices. I think a lot of places have small offices where you can run, and you need to organize and have structure. And a lot of times people run for office and don't have structure. That's how you kind of get in trouble. You don't know the rules. You don't have people to help you keep your numbers together. So your budgeting is bad. You may not get everything you need. It's really important when you're running for office or have any business to understand where your numbers are going so that when you can, if you have constituents, they're going to see how you spend your money. So you need to be able to justify what you spent on. You don't want to be spending frivolously. And so I think my service to that campaign lit a fire to help me see that this is a place where we were really lacking in some of our communities. People really didn't understand the importance of knowing your numbers, keeping them straight, and making decisions based off of accurate and complete financial statements. It's so important. I'm not going to get on my soapbox too much because I know I'll lose people. But
no, you won't, because I'm over here taking notes, girl. You will not lose a soul. That's an entrepreneur. That's for sure. Go ahead.
Yes. So, they say as an entrepreneur, you need an accountant, you need a lawyer. I also think you need branding and marketing. So someone with branding and marketing experience, obviously, I got you, girl, Adrian. So,
like you over there shouting out your friend. You got her.
So, but you do need those 3 things. You need to be covered. You need to cover yourself from liability. You need to cover yourself financially, and you need to have a really good way to spread the word about who you are. And so I think those are key things that you need when you're starting your business. even if you're just asking advice of those people and implementing it yourself, you need to be, locked in to have those things for your business. And so I started realizing the need for that. And then that's when I started King Crown Financial Solutions. And so that was my accounting firm. That's my little accounting business I started from first helping those political campaigns in DC, in Southeast DC. So again, I feel like, I don't know if I heard callings from God. I feel like God pushed me. He tripped me into doing stuff that, you're just walking around, God trips you like, oh, okay, you gotta do this. I'm like, okay.
Where I need you to be if you're just paying a little bit of attention to
right.
what you're trying to put in your spirit, right?
Right. I was so resistant to it again because my job, I mean, when Adrian tells me she had downtime at work, I don't understand what that means. Like, that was not a thing that we had at work, was downtime.
Right.
Like, never. I was working overtime all the time. So, when you're in accounting, I was in internal audit at the time. Even during our busy season would be busy, but then there's always projects that come up when we're technically not supposed to be busy.
Right.
So we were always busy. It was really no time to breathe. So adding on another thing on top of the hair business and the accounting, like, it was just overwhelming. But again, I started that business. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll try. And then fast forward to the 2020 elections. I'm hit up to do it again, but then we go into COVID. So I'm working from home, primarily working from home, which before there was, that was not a thing at our company, at least not for our department. And so being able to work from home definitely helped me to juggle more. And so I was able to grow my accounting business that time. Instead of taking on one political client during that election season, I think I had 8. Which was also not a good idea because I didn't have a lot of help. But so that was stressful, but I learned so much. I understood things. I took on clients that were more complex, that had a lot of more regulation. And then I also was asked to help with nonprofit work. So I met people who became clients later. It just was a great experience to have so many clients, figure out how to juggle them, still juggling my corporate job, still sometimes making hair products. And that's when I decided to kind of make everything sold out on the hair business, because every time I got an order of butters that I had to make, I was literally like, my heart sank, like, oh my God, it's something else. And the thing that I probably didn't do well was delegate. That's something that you have to learn to relinquish control. It's very difficult. That is a difficult thing concept for me, especially when I was so particular about my products and the way they presented. I was very particular about the quality that went into the hair products and the texture. It needed to have the right texture that just melted. And because I had dealt with products that didn't have that. So I was very particular, and I didn't trust anybody to do it, as if I was like this all-seeing. I'm not even a chemist. Like somebody couldn't do it better. So that's just ego. That's control issues. And I think, like, putting your ego to the side, putting your control issues to the side, really realizing that there are people who can do things better than you, will save your life. You have so much less stress because you can delegate to people who might be doing these things better than you anyway. But we have to, do the self-work to be able to see that. So I probably should have started to delegate in ways, but I just didn't. One, feel like I had the time to vet people, teach people, but I also didn't feel like I had the time, like I didn't have the trust in people. So I put myself in that position, and in hindsight, I can see that there are ways I could have alleviated it, but I just didn't have the time or energy to do it because I was basically juggling like 3 jobs. And then I took on a contract to learn more about the accounting job. So it was like I had 4 jobs. So it was like, it was just a lot. And I would say after some time working from home, I noticed a lot of things in corporate. And so when we took us back to the office, even though it was for a hybrid schedule, there were things that I couldn't unsee. I saw things and I can't unsee it. And so being in corporate America, it really was tugging on my mental health, I would say. And so again, I feel like God tripped me and gave me the boot out of there because I was so comfortable getting my paycheck. And I think Adrian did a really good job strategizing financially to get out of her job. Whereas I just used my 401k to pay off a lot of debt. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, and that's a good thing. I'm glad you're saying that. I'm actually glad you're saying that, because there are two different perspectives here, but so many nuggets of takeaways. So before I summarize what you just said, do you want to say some closing pieces to your transition?
Yeah. So I would say once I hit 2023, my New Year's resolution was to leave my job, because I had I felt I got married in 2022, and the week after my wedding, I went into this crazy depression because of, you're planning for your wedding. You have it's a lot of to do, because I had a planner, but it wasn't like as hands-on. So I was doing a lot of DIY. It was exciting, it was fun, but I had neglected a lot to get through the wedding. And then after the wedding, everything kind of just came crashing down on me. And of course, things didn't go as planned, as, if you're an event planner, you understand that. But it just felt like I don't know, everything came crashing down, and I just felt buried, and I should be the happiest time of my life. And I was kind of like crying in my bed and picking fights with my sister and talking through things. And it just was like, it was a really bad time. And I didn't quite understand why I felt that way, because I had never felt that before. And then I realized, like, I was in like some sort of depression state. And I really haven't shared this super publicly before, but like I was in this depression state and I couldn't understand why. And then I like go back to the office and I'm just like, I don't want to be there. So I can't unsee the things. I feel like I'm not being a good wife, and I just got this job to be a wife. Like, it was really a tough time. And I had to decide, like, I had to take stock in what was creating the issues. You know what I mean? I had got a therapist. I started talking to somebody to try to understand what was going on. And again, I had like 4 jobs. So it was just like overwhelming. And it felt like this was how it was going to be forever. Like, I just didn't see another way to make enough money to live where I live, to have the lifestyle that I wanted, to do the things that I wanted, to not be micromanaged by people, to not be judged by people. It was just so heavy. It was so much. So I had to take stock in what really was what it was. And I was like, you know what? When I do this thing where I help people in my community, when I have this freedom, I feel the most alive. And even though I don't know if this is my purpose in life, because I still don't know what my purpose is fully realized, I think like I had to make the decision to let go of this thing that felt like so comfortable, to be a healthy whole person. So I made the decision in January of 2023 that I was going to leave my job in this year by April. And I did. And instead of going with my business, King Crown Financial Solutions, and doing that, I was already contracting with a business, like my mentor and a business owner of an accounting firm that did the same thing. And I know I'm going on long, but the last thing is I went to a
Y'all
NABA
come back again now, just so you know. Might as well take your time, because we're going to come on back again, because each time we're going to break something else down.
Break it down. But I went to the conference for accountants. So it's the National Association of Black Accountants. I was very blessed to be a presenter there for an entrepreneurship track through another company called Covenant Business Concepts. And, they put together a training, and I was one of the people to help train for entrepreneurship at the NABA conference. And so the president of NABA came and spoke to us, and she said, you guys are doing things by yourselves, individuals doing the exact same thing, siloed, and we need to come together. We need to work together. You'll get further with more than one head. Like, if you're just by yourself, like all these accountants have their own firms doing the same exact thing, and nobody's working together, nobody's partnering. And so that really hit my heart. And that's when, I started working with Mitchell Consulting, and I felt comfortable to be like, yes, I am an employee working for an entrepreneur. So I'm not quite in corporate America, but I am an employee, which is definitely different. But does it make sense for me to try to build King Crown Financial Solutions when Mitchell Consulting is thriving, and I can bring my talents to this company and help us to get better? So that is the reason why I am working with Mitchell Consulting today. I love Mitchell Consulting. We have similar values, and I see the impact of my work so much more. And I pray that we can grow Mitchell Consulting to be triple, quadruple the size of what we could have done separately. And so that is my last gem. And I went full time officially April, the end of April, April 30th, 2023. And so I'm a brand new,
Listen, okay, today, literally, I'm going to have these two ladies from the host of Two Mics, Two Glasses come back periodically to just talk about different pieces of their lives. And together they host Two Mics, Two Glasses. And if you could give just one word of advice to people that are transitioning from corporate, because that's all we talked about today, which Lauryn and Adrian, I know y'all like, every time we come, we only get to talk about one component, but it's so rich. It's so rich. I mean, like what you talk, I took so many notes. What you talked about is having more complex customers, knowing your numbers, having an accountant, a lawyer, a branding expert, not necessarily having that feeling that you were going to be dependent, your job was going to be as dependable as you would like for it to be long term, taking your 401k and applying it to your dream. That's something you said, building systems, talking to new people, meeting new people, doing trade shows, getting pushed way out of your comfort zone, identifying a niche market that you're going to really focus on. I mean, you said a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun, but it was also hard work and making that money. A lot of stuff that you said. I've enjoyed this thoroughly. What's a key takeaway that you would share with any corporate person that wants to transition to entrepreneurship? Adrian, tell us.
First thing would be there's never going to be the perfect time. So, the longer you work in corporate, probably the more comfortable you're getting with the income that you're making, your lifestyle and everything. So there's really never going to be a perfect time to make the jump, but try and do as much preparation and building the business before you make the jump. So, try and have that viable business concept, try and have, some of your first clients and stuff. Don't just try and just do it. And don't think I need my business to bring in as much income as I'm bringing in from my corporate job. Because realistically, it's very difficult for your part-time job that you're putting part-time hours to be making a full-time salary when you just aren't spending enough hours in it. So it's never the right time, but
do it.
Just set yourself up as best as you can.
Very good advice. Noreen, I see you saying great show, Covenant Business Concepts. And I also saw lots of Corrine. Corrine said postnuptial depression is really a thing, friends. So take care of you. Corrine said that. Thank you for your comment and taking the time to type that, Corrine. Let's see who else made a comment. Dennis said, hey, she's a vault. Intellect peaking, no gatekeeping. Okay, he talking in poetic terms over there. He doing the spoken word over there. All right. Great comment, Dennis. Oh, she is a genius. She's a genius. Yes. Girl, it is not little, it is big. No little hair product. I'm so glad you typed that, Kareem, because we're not about to end this show without me showing y'all right quick 2 seconds worth of what this woman is talking about. My little here. Look, this is what she calling little. Let me show y'all. Thank you, Adrian, for putting that over in the private chat. Look at here. This is not no little. This is big. Perfectly hair. I want this woman to start this back up. I don't know if y'all want her to, but I sure do. Because I told them, I said they took the hot comb and were going through my edges. So I said, time I sweat, all this stuff gonna come back to my regular roots. Okay, let's see. Look at all of this. Citrus, vanilla, mint, mud wash, and you name it. I think you should come pull this off the shelf, sweetie, and get this back going. Look at this. Perfectly. Hey, okay, that's not even what we're supposed to be talking about today, but I just had to show that. All right, let's see. And last comments up here, it was a lot of comments. I saw all of your comments. Corinne, it's not little. Okay, I saw so many of you all. 7 streams of income. Yes. And great questions. Dr. Shayna said, good afternoon. Black is beautiful, Dennis said. Dr. Tina J. Ramsey. Now, I didn't connect you guys. I got to connect y'all. Dr. Tina J.
I reached out to her, so she gave me a call, and I'm going to call her back this week.
Okay. Because I want y'all to be connected here. So, Dr. Tina J., Kim Jacobs referring them. I'm referring them. They need to be on.
Yeah, I put your name in the referral.
All right. Look, lots of love. All right, y'all. I see all of your comments. I hope I didn't. Oh, my mom is on. Good morning, Mom. I love you, Mommy. Let's see. Sandy Sanders, Coffee Conversations with Sandy is a great show. Good morning. Yes, I lived in the DC area in the 1980s. Justine Hillier said, I think the college experience is great for all people. Okay, y'all. I hope I didn't misrepresent you all the first. Okay. I tried to get as many of your comments in. Tell us what your thought is, Lauryn, transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship. One closing comment.
I completely agree with Adrian. There's never the right time. So you just need to figure out what you need, figure out how you're going to get what you need. And you kind of have to take the leap. Like I said, I kept getting tripped into doing what I was supposed to do. But I will say that God has provided every step of the way. Even when I felt like he wasn't providing, something would happen. And, I'm still in a home, y'all. So we're provided for. And so I would say, just do it. Of course, prepare. Of course, all the advice we're giving, the preparation is important. But if you keep waiting for the exact time, you're going to stay dependent on what you have going on currently. So you kind of just have to take that leap, have faith in yourself, have faith in God, trust that you can do this. That was something I had to rework, is my mindset of, can I really provide for myself? Don't I need money from these, billion-dollar companies?
Mm-hmm.
How could I ever produce what they produce? How could I ever create that for my own life?
Yes.
And if this is what you're supposed to do, God will make a way for you to do that. So trust it and go for it.
Good. Listen, y'all, tune in to Two Mics, Two Glasses. As you can see, we all had our glasses today, and I would like to do a toast to these two ladies, the host of Two Mics, Two Glasses, because God is using them to make a difference in this world, and I can ask God to let your light continue to shine. So toast to you ladies. Okay. And how can they stay connected with you? Just briefly share that too.
Yeah, so follow us on YouTube. You can search Two Mics, Two Glasses, or put in youtube.com /@ Two Mics, Two Glasses. You can also follow us on Instagram at twomicstwoglasses.com. And you can subscribe for email notifications whenever a new episode goes out at www.twomicstwoglasses.com.
Yay.
It's always the number two. It's always the number two.
Mm-hmm. Always the number two, especially for the podcast listeners that aren't seeing this. It's the number two, then mics, two, again, glasses. So yes. 2 mics, 2 glasses. It's the number two, mics, 2 glasses, because that's important for the podcast listeners. And we were talking about being able to transition and different things financially. Listen, I'm asking today if 10 of my viewers would be willing to send $100 towards contributing to the Kim Jacobs Show. Guess what? We greatly appreciate it, because the only way that the Kim Jacobs Show is able to come on Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. is because of contributions from community members like yourselves. We don't charge any of our guests to be a guest here on the show, but I can see the value that it brings to our viewers. So I'm asking you all to, it can be a Cash App, and no amount is too small, but I'm obviously asking for a certain amount, but that's okay. Whatever amount is greatly appreciated, because somebody might be able to do a lot more than that. So anyway, Kim Jacobs Inc., or you can go to PayPal and do paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc., or even Venmo at the Kim Jacobs Show. You can Zelle 962-7161 as well. And so any contribution, again, is greatly appreciated. And we do shout outs to let everybody know, hey, thank you for this partnership. Thank you. And we do that periodically as well. So thank you all for all that already have contributed. I will let you all know that today is yesterday was Clarissa Blissette's birthday. And I want to say happy birthday to you, Clarissa. She supports us in so many different ways. She's a part of Promise Fellowship Church, and she also helps me with eWomen Network and different things. So I just want to say happy birthday to her and a big shout out to you. And as we prepare to close, I also want to let you all know that we have our Gabe's Heart Foundation 5K walk happening Saturday, October 19th. So if you have not already registered, you can go to gabesheartfoundation.org. We're giving away a defibrillator at our 5K walk this Saturday in hopes of being able to give an organization a chance, if something happens at their establishment, that they would be able to allow time for the paramedics to arrive. And so we are excited to be able to do that this weekend. And the final thing I'll let you know is come this Sunday, October 20th, we are launching Promise Fellowship Church. It is going to be our first official launch service, and you are invited to be a part of the experience at the Oasis Shriners building. So tag everybody you know and invite them to come and be a part of Promise Fellowship. I am formally the pastor of Promise Fellowship. I am a servant leader in the North Carolina 2nd Jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ, and I'm excited about it. And I welcome you to fellowship with us this Sunday, October 20th, 10 a.m. Make your way there. All right, y'all. We got to come back and talk about finances. I want to be able to talk about finances and systems that work. Can we talk about that on the next one? Financial management, some systems that work.
Yeah.
So come back again.
Love those topics.
Book another one. We're going to bite size all of them. Y'all be my consistent panelists. All right. Any closing comment, ladies?
We love talking to you, and congratulations on the church. I'm so excited for you to open your church. If I'm ever in North Carolina, I know where to go. So I'm so excited for all of that, Ms. Kim. And thank you so much for having us on again.
Thank you for being here. Adrian, any closing comment?
Just wanted to thank you again for having us. And yes, congratulations on your church. It's really exciting. So it's amazing seeing how God is impacting all of our businesses. And I look forward to, continuing to walk side by side, to see that impact and support one another.
Thank you. And thank you all in the studio audience. I see you, Corrine. I see you, Virginia Rutherford Hall. You want to be on her show too, host of Wings of Wisdom. Lots of great hosts that I know that have graduated through my training program. I'm just going to put your information over in my graduate group so that people can start reaching out to you all. But don't get twisted. I want you to come back to the Kim Jacobs show too.
Of course.
All right. All right. So as I close out today, I'm going to actually close out with this invitation for you all being a part of Promise Fellowship Church service. And that's how we're going to close today. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. I love you all. And if y'all stay backstage, I'll talk to you. If not, I'll see you again soon. Love you all, everybody. Have a great one. Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Jacobs, and I am inviting you to be a part of Promise Fellowship. Our church is at 604 Doug Mays Place, the Oasis Shriners building, on Sundays at 10 a.m. Now, Promise Fellowship, get your mind right. We're going to have ourselves an epic Jesus experience. We believe that you are to stand on the promises of God. There are over 7,000 promises in the Word of God, and those promises belong to us. So we're standing on the promises of God, and we're fellowshipping together and being able to come together to know how to apply the Word of God to our everyday lives. I am so excited and cannot wait to greet you and meet you in person. There are going to be so many people there to welcome you as well, and to just pour that love, the love of God, the love of Christ onto you. We're excited about seeing you Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. right at the Oasis Shriners building at 604